right, so let's have a look at our reason. Just to recap what we have already done. We'll get there eventually. Just to recap what we have already spoken about, guys, remember on Monday's lesson, or in Monday's lesson rather, we spoke about the fact that if we have a triangle, the 3 interior angles in that triangle add up to 180. So if I add angle A, angle B, and angle C, we get 180 degrees. And that is all because of sum of angles in a triangle. So remember, it's geometry. We have to give a reason for any statement that we make. So this was our first reason that we had to look at sum of angles in a triangle. So before we move on to exterior angles of a triangle, I want you guys to just give these 3 examples a try for me. All right, so I want you to just recap, revise, go back to what we spoke about on Monday. So go back in your notes, have a look. I want you to use that sum of angles in a triangle, and I want you to find X for me in all 3 of these questions. So guys, remember, like I said at the start, we use the chat for our answers and for any questions that we might have. So what I want to be seen on the chat is your answers coming through. And remember, please put your answer with its appropriate reason. No reason, no marks. We've had this discussion before. So please remember your reason for each of these. So give them a try by yourselves. It's okay if you struggle a little bit, but you do need to try. I'm going to give you a few minutes, then we'll have a look at the answers, and then we will have a look at our brand new reason that we need to know.
Let's go, my people. Make me proud. You've learned these things. So let's go. Look at your notes. Try and do it. Please do label and say number 1, this statement, reason. Number 2, this statement, reason. That would be nice. Let's see how many geniuses I have. Let's see, guys.
So exactly like Yolanda said, guys, we've done this. So you should have the notes from Monday. I keep forgetting what day we're on. You should have the notes from Monday. A lot of you have done this in class already, so you should know it there as well. But give it a try. Like I said, it's okay if you struggle a little bit. That's why we're here. It's to learn. But please do try. My grade 10 is writing a test tomorrow. And this child has just asked me what's on the test. And I think I might just cry a little bit. Like, honestly. Guys, let's just remember to number our answers 1, 2, and 3. Mpile, I see your question. I will do my best to zoom in here. Let's see if we can. That's not going to work, is it? I'm just going to shove them a little bit closer to each other so that we can zoom in. Oops. Okay. Mpile, hopefully that helps. No problem. I was also looking at it and thinking, oh, this might be a little bit small. So thank you for asking. Thank you for those of you numbering your answers.
Remember to also write it on your book first, and then you can give the answers to us. Let's go, my people. Let's go. We can do this. And remember, if you are struggling, you can tell us that you are struggling. I'm here on the chat to also assist you. If you want, you can change where it says everyone, Yolanda. Okay. But for now, we are putting answers and yeah. statement and reasons on the charts. Label them 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes I even forget what I'm saying.
I know.
What I want
Understand.
to say. You guys are doing well so far. Let's go. Let's go. Our time is running out. Let's go. We can do this.
I'm gonna give you, oh, we're on 2, okay. 1.5 minutes, let's go. And guys, like Yolanda just said, it's so important that you're writing this stuff down. A, because that's how you learn. And B, because when we now start to mark, or when we do the answers, you need to mark your work. So you need to see, okay, cool, I got this right, I know what I'm doing. Oh, I made a silly mistake here, I must remember not to make that silly mistake. Or, oh, I'm not really understanding this, I must remember to go back and watch the videos, ask questions. So it's all really important that you're writing it down and you are then checking your work when we go through it.
Yep. Okay, at least now I'm starting to see number 3 from Lomso.
Yeah.
At least Lomso is done with number 3. What about all of you guys? We are 108 of us. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, Buhlale also has given number 3.
Another minute or so, guys, and then I'm going to go through the answers and then we're going to move. And remember, we've done this already, so that's why we're not wasting a lot of time here. If you aren't sure, then you need to go and watch the video. Alicia, very nice. Just what I like to see in terms of how an answer is presented. Nice, Nyane. All right, guys, let's have a look. So please make sure you mark as we go along. If you're not finished, that's okay. Mark anyway and take down the answers. But like I say, because this is something that we have already covered, we're just doing a quick recap and then we are moving on to our new reason. So remember, any triangle that you work with, the interior angles will add up to 180. It doesn't matter what type of triangle is, scalene, obtuse angled, right angled, isosceles, doesn't matter. It will add up to 180. So our statement for our question 1 will be the fact that x plus 75 plus 55 degrees must give us 180. I've made a statement, so I must give a reason. Sum of angles in triangle. Remember, we've also spoken about the fact, guys, that some of you have learned a different reason at school. So some people use interior angles of a triangle. As long as it's come from me or it's come from a teacher, you can use it. Okay, now 75 and 55 are like terms, so I'm just going to add them together to make my life a little easier. And 75 plus 55 is 130. And now I'm going to use inverse operations to solve my equation. So that means I'm going to have to subtract 130 on both sides. And 180 minus 130 is 50 degrees. So I saw a lot of you come up with that answer for this first question. X in the first one is 50 degrees. So very nicely done if you said 50. Mark your work if you didn't, so that you can see where potentially you made an oopsie or where you're not understanding. But let's have a look at question 2. So question 2 is pretty much the same. We've got our triangle. We know that x plus 25, there shouldn't be any hands right now. I will ask for questions later. Plus 18 is equal to 180 degrees. Again, our reason is sum of angles in a triangle. All right, so we go and solve. Again, 25 and 18 are like terms, so I'm just going to add them together. 25 plus 18 gives me 43. So x plus 43 degrees is equal to 180. And again, I'm solving for x. So inverse operations, I'm going to subtract 43 on both sides. So 180 minus 43 degrees. And that gives me that x is equal to 137 degrees. So question 2, our answer there should be 137. Right, guys, the last question, a little bit trickier because just of the way the angles are presented, but it doesn't change what we need to do. So x plus 10 plus 70 plus x is equal to 180 degrees. If we add all those angles up, we get 180. And our reason is sum of angles in a triangle. Oh, it's been difficult, apologies. Okay, whatever, I'm going to move on from that. I'll fill it in now. Quadrolite terms, so we've got x and we've got x, so x plus x gives us 2x, 10 plus 70 gives us 80, and now we start solving our equation. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to subtract 80 on both sides. So 2x is equal to 180 minus 80, which means that 2x is equal to 100. And then remember, guys, we want x alone. So we're going to divide both sides by 2, which means that we get a final answer for x of 50 degrees. So x for question 3 is equal to 50 degrees. So I'm hoping that we got all of those answers correct. Remember, you should have been marking, you should have been checking. Milani, I mean, when you say a different method, like it can't be too different from this because really you can only use sum of angles in a triangle. The only thing I can imagine is if you added the numbers up in a different order, that's fine. So the order of addition doesn't matter. As long as you've added everything and you know it's equal to 180, that's fine. Cool, that's perfect, no problem. If your addition's in a slightly different order, absolutely fine. Right, so grade 8 screenshots of that. If anyone has any questions, remember again, we have actually done this, so please go watch the videos. But if you do have questions, you can raise your hand and ask. Otherwise, I'm moving.
Well done, my grade 8 to my people. Well done, guys. Nice. Munani, don't worry, we are recording this, so okay. I've write in.
Okay, guys, good. So I'm assuming there's no questions. Remember, as Yolanda said before, questions on the chat, or you can directly message her or myself and we will help you. But again, like if we've done this, please go watch the video. That was a lot of words, but you get what I'm saying. But let's have a look at, we'll do a brain break just now. Alrighty, you will get a brain break today because we are doing really nicely. So guys, our second reason that we're going to learn with triangles is this exterior angle of a triangle. Okay, so like I said, this is the one that we struggle with a little bit. It isn't a hard reason. We just have to think very carefully about what we're doing. Okay, so the exterior angle of a triangle. Now, importantly, we need to know what exterior means. Exterior means outside. So the angle outside the triangle is equal to the sum of the two opposite interior angles. I think we struggle with this reason because it seems like so many words that we now need to remember. Very basically, what this means is, here I've got angle A, that is the angle outside my angle. Now, importantly, guys, take note of the fact that this is an angle between one side of my triangle. So here's the side of my triangle that it is between, and an extension. It's not how you spell extension, I don't think. I think it is. I'm not too sure, guys. Sorry, I'm not actually sure if that's how you spell extension. I think it is. Clearly, I'm not an English teacher. And an extension.
No, that's it. Yes, extension.
Okay,
that's
great. Of another side. So there's my side of my triangle. I'm just going to do this again. There's the side of my triangle. The extension. So here's a side of my triangle, but if I extend it, I'm then creating this exterior angle at A. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because if we had been given a diagram, say something like, like that, okay? Yes, this angle here is outside the triangle, but it is not exterior to the triangle. The reason for that is that this side that I'm going over in blue is not an extension of the side of any of my triangles. It's just a random line that I've put there. It is not an exterior angle. So it's very importantly, it has to be an extension of our side. So what the reason says to me is if I've got that exterior angle, if I now go and add the two angles opposite it, so angle B and angle C, we will get whatever the size of angle A is. So angle A plus angle B, I'm going to say that again. Angle A is equal to angle B plus angle C. And that is all because of an exterior angle of a triangle. So I'm going to say this again. Excuse me. An exterior angle of a triangle, so the angle in between one side of my triangle, an extension of another side, will be equal to the sum of the two opposite interior angles. So if we add the two opposite angles inside the triangle together, we will get the angle that is outside the triangle on the opposite side. Okay, so again, I get that these are a lot of words, and especially when we now start trying to like put these geometric reasons into words, it does become quite long and wordy. We need to be able to put it into practice, obviously, which is what we're going to do now in a second. But that is really important to know. If we've got an exterior angle, we add the two opposite interior angles and we have the exterior angle's size. So I'm going to leave our reason up and we're going to have a look at an example to put this into practice. And we're just going to have a look at this first example down at the bottom here. So we've been given a triangle and we're looking for angle X. Now let's just double check what we have going on here. I can see that angle X is created between a side of my triangle that I've got there in red, as well as an extension of one of the other sides of my triangle. So because the lines creating this angle all come from or are part of my triangle, I know it's an exterior angle. Because I now know that this is an exterior angle, I know that the size of angle X will be equal to the two angles opposite it added together. So that would be 20 and that would be 35. So we can now set up our statement and our reason in order to solve for X. And again, guys, remember, always give your reasons. So our statement is the fact that X is equal to 20 plus 35. The exterior angle is equal to the sum of the two opposite interior angles. And my reason here is exterior angle of a triangle. Again, guys, remember your reasons. You can shorten certain words. You can use the symbol for angle and you can use a triangle for triangle. You don't actually have to write it out. So please don't waste time trying to write out like the full words, just use abbreviations. And now we can solve for X. So we just add those two together. X is equal to 55 degrees. Right now, guys, I can prove to you that this is true. All right. So if we just take off all of these beautiful colors that I've put here on my diagram, and I say that I actually want to work out this angle Y. We know that we can very easily work out Y by using angles in a triangle. So Y plus 35 plus 25 must be equal to 180. And my reason is sum of angles in triangle. Okay. 35 plus 25 is 65. You guys can't do maths tonight. So 20 plus 35. I'm having a bit of a day. It's fine. I apologize though. I can do math. I'm just doubting everything that I am.
We are following, no? We are following. So,
I'm so glad because I'm not even following my own life. Okay,
you
so
see, Lobso is like 20, not 25.
Thank you. So y plus 55 equals 180. If we now subtract 55 on both sides, we get that y is equal to 180 minus 55 degrees, which gives us, oops, 125 degrees. Okay, so this angle y that I've just worked out is 125. If I then go and work out x now, I could use angles on a triangle. Angles on a triangle. Angles on a straight line. We know that x plus 125 must equal 180 because of angles on a straight line. And so what we've got is that x is equal to 180 minus 125. And so x is equal to 55 degrees. Now have a look. Obviously, what I've just done here in the purple and the blue is a very, very long way to do it. You would still get 4 marks, but it's a long way to do it. But look at the fact that in both cases, whether I use angles in a triangle and then angles on a straight line, or whether I just used the shortcut of exterior angles of a triangle, I got 55 degrees in both cases. And so this is why the exterior angle reason works. If you went the long way and did some of angles in a triangle and angles on a straight line, you'll get there. But the shortcut is just to realize that the angle outside our triangle, our exterior angle, is just equal to adding the two opposite angles together. So again, grade 8s, if you do the purple and the blue way and you do it a bit of a longer way, you'll get the marks. You'll waste some time, but you'll get the marks. But what is important to realize is that we've got a shortcut. Just use exterior angles of a triangle. All right, I apologize for the fact that my brain just clearly switched off there for 10 seconds. So I'm going to stop. If anyone wants to take a screenshot, please do. But I'm also stopping because if anyone has any questions, please ask. You can raise your hand if you need to. There was a question here that I'm just a little confused about. And so, well, you said, so will it always be an equilateral triangle? No. So when we're working with triangles in geometry, the triangles can be any type of triangle. Sometimes they're equilateral, but it can be any type of triangle when we start doing geometry here. All right, guys, no questions? I know I managed to get myself a little confuzzled there, but hopefully we are all okay. So I'm going to ask you to try one more. We'll take a little break and then we'll carry on with some examples. Chloe? Chloe, there should be a pop-up to unmute yourself and then you can ask your question. Okay, Chloe, try and put your question. Okay. If you remember, put it on the chat. Otherwise, wait until the next time I ask you to raise your hand. Brain break. I'm okay. Don't you stress. I've got this under control. We'll take a brain break when I said we'll take a brain break. Andrea, yes, this is exactly how we calculate angles. We use these reasons in order to calculate angles. There was another question. We're basically adding the two numbers. Yes, we're adding the two numbers opposite the exterior angle. Adlahang, I don't need you to remind me of a brain break. I promise you I'm in control of the situation. We will take a brain break when I feel we're ready to do one. I've already explained that we will be doing one more example and then we will take a brain break.
And that's if we go faster, my people, because remember the plan is for us to finish the syllabus, you know? So if there's time, we do it. If there's no time, then you stretch on your side by yourself. It's still okay. You can go to the loo and quickly come back.
All right, so guys, I want you to try question 2 for me. Don't do it the long way. Use the shortcut that we've now established, the exterior angles of a triangle. Because doing it the long way, whilst it's not wrong, you're wasting time. Okay, and in a test or an exam, we don't want to waste time. We want to try and get things done properly, but as quickly as we can. So I want you to try question 2 for me. And remember, we know that the angle outside our triangle should be equal to the two opposite ones added together. Nice, grade 8. Keep those answers with reasons coming in, please. And thank you for remembering your reasons. Nice, grade 8. Right, so let's have a look. So guys, 144 is our exterior angle. It's outside our triangle. It's between the side of a triangle and an extension. It's an exterior angle. What that means is if we add 78 and x, we will get that 144. So all we're doing is we're using the reason that we know exterior angles of a triangle, and we can set up an equation. So we know that x plus 78 must give us that 144 degrees because it's the exterior angle. And our reason, as all of you have wonderfully said there, exterior angle of our triangle. Now we solve our equation. So we're going to subtract 78 on both sides. And that is going to give me the answer that you all correctly put there of x equals 66 degrees. Right, so guys, exterior angles, really not a super tricky reason, really not a tricky reason. The trick is making sure that you are correctly working with the correct exterior angle. If we make an oopsie and we're not actually working with an exterior angle, obviously it means then we're doing some weird things. All right, so please make sure you've marked, you've checked, you've made your corrections. If anyone has any questions, now is the time to raise your hand and ask. Otherwise, as I said, now we can take a brain break. Remember, if you can't see the screen, you need to log out and log back in again. Oops, Linda?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, why don't we say x plus 78? I mean, 144 equals to x plus 78 equals to 180 degrees. Instead, we say x plus 78 equals to 144 degrees.
Okay, so remember, we're not using sum of angles in a triangle here. So it's not equal to 180 degrees. We are using the fact that the angle outside our triangle is equal to the two opposite angles. If I was using angles in a triangle, then I would have to say it's equal to 180. But this isn't angles in a triangle. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So Linda, I think you've muted yourself. If not, don't stress. We're gonna do an example now where we look at sum of angles in a triangle versus exterior angles in a triangle, and we'll see how there is a difference. But because we're not using all three angles inside the triangle, it can't be equal to 180. Okay, so Lomso, I hope I see you've realized where you made that mistake. That's fine. CM Tunda, that's absolutely fine. You're more than welcome to do it like that. As you start to move up in geometry, you're going to start to just go straight to the answer and do it like that. So no problem. Lesedi? Lesedi, there should be a pop-up to unmute. There we go. Lesedi?
It could be network problem or headset, Lizedi, but you're more than welcome to put your question on the chat also. We'll be watching it.
The Chronolo question?
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to ask, why did we subtract the first question, but then why did we subtract in the second question, but then we in the first one? That's what I don't understand.
Okay, cool. So good question. In the first question, we're not subtracting because, as you can see, the exterior angle is the one we don't know. We just have to add these two opposite ones together. In the second question, we do know the exterior angle. It's one of the opposite interior angles that I don't know. So I almost need to work backwards from knowing what the exterior angle is to figuring out what the opposite interior angles are. And that's why I'm eventually needing to subtract. Does that make sense? You can unmute yourself if you need to. You should be able to. Okay, so just let us know in the chat if that all makes sense. But it's basically just because in one I didn't know the exterior angle and in the other I did. Alrighty, guys. So let's have a little brain break. Oopsie doopsie. You know the drill. Here's your brain break. I'm looking for the first correct answer, obviously, which I need to get as well. So we are looking for the answer for the last equation. So this one down here. What I want you to guys just to bear in mind, in case you haven't seen this before, the stars mean times. Okay, so I'm just going to put a times over the stars. They mean times. So just bear that in mind. So let's give this one a try. Hopefully I beat you, hopefully. Remember BODMAS, hey? Umkatano, well done. First answer, and first answer is correct as well. So if you want to raise your hand to explain it for us, that would be awesome. So our first correct answer. Oh, it's actually Sinyane. I do apologize. Sinyane? Sorry, I'm just now going back to see. Nice, Sinyane, well done. So do you want to explain it for us?
Yes, hello, ma'am.
Hi.
So first I said 28 divided by 4, which is 7.
Good.
Then I said 21 divided by 7, which is 3.
Good.
Then I said 17 plus 7, which is 24. Then 24 divided by 3, which is 8.
Good. So this mushroom is 8.
Then I said 7 times 8 plus 3 minus 8, which is 51.
Excellent. Well done. So guys, just for this last one, remember your bod mass. So 7 times 8 is 56, plus 3 is 59, minus 8 gives us that 51. Excellent, Sinyani. Well done. Oh gosh, I'm gonna fall off my chair. Okay, so guys, remember this is solving an equation. That's all there is to it. So we have done solving equations. Go back and watch the videos. All it is now there's pictures instead of x's and y's and variables. Alrighty, very nicely done. Well done. Excuse me. I'm glad we enjoyed the joke. I thought it fitting for our current topic of conversation. But let us continue on with exterior angles of a triangle. So, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. So there was a question around when do we use sum of angles in a triangle? When do we use exterior angles? So question 3 here, I'm going to do with you just to show you, I mean, there's lots of ways that you could answer this question, but just to show you what the difference is between those two reasons. Okay, so you'll try some more by yourselves in a second, but I'm going to do this one with you just to answer that question that we had earlier with an example. Right, now guys, remember I've said to you that you can solve for x or y first. It doesn't matter. It's completely up to you. Generally, we go alphabetically, but it makes no difference. I am going to go alphabetically, and so I'm going to start with x. Now, if I just look at where x is in this diagram, I can see it is the third of 3 angles inside my triangle. And because I already know 2 of the 3 angles, I could use sum of angles in a triangle. And so this is where we can say that they're equal to 180. Because I've got 2 of my 3 interior angles, I know that when I add them together, I must get 180. So x plus 40 plus 70 must equal 180 degrees. Remember your reason, sum of angles in triangle. 40 and 70 are like terms, so I'm just going to add them together, giving me 110 degrees is equal to 180. And if I subtract 110 on both sides, I get that x is equal to 70 degrees. Now, again, there's lots of different ways you can do this question. I think a lot of people now, because they know what x is, they would use angles on a straight line to find y. That's fine. I'm not going to, because again, I'm using this example to explain the difference between sum of angles in a triangle and exterior angles. Okay, so now if I look at y, again, look at where it is in this picture, what relationship it does have. We can see that it is the angle formed between one side of my triangle and an extension of one of my sides. And so what that means is that because it's an exterior angle, it is equal to the 2 opposite interior angles. So angle y is equal to 70 degrees plus 40 degrees. And that is because of exterior angle of triangle. We just add those two together and we get 110 degrees. So guys, that's the important difference between the two. Sum of angles in a triangle is when you have the angles inside and you're looking for one of them. Exterior angle is the fact that the angle outside your triangle must be equal to the sum of the 2 opposite interior angles. Now, once again, there are lots of different ways you could have answered this question, which means there's different reasons that you could have used. As long as you are applying your geometry rules or your geometry reasons correctly, any of those reasons are fine. So like I say, you could have gone and found y using angles on a straight line. You could have actually done the same thing for x if you found y first. So there are multiple ways to do this question, and there's often multiple ways to do most geometry questions. As long as you put your reasons down and you've done your math correctly, you will get full marks. Okay. If you have any questions, now's the time to raise your hand and ask me. Otherwise, you're going to try one by yourselves. Okay. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to leave question 3 up there for you. I want you to now try question 4 for me. So just in case it's not super clear, question 4, I want the size of this angle X in yellow, and I want the size of this angle Y in green here. So X and Y, that's what I would like from you. Let's remember our statement and our reason. And I want you to try this one by yourselves. On the chat, when you give your answers, please remember to say X equals whatever with a reason and Y equals whatever answer with a reason. So please remember those reasons. And grade 8s, remember, you can use any of the reasons that you know. So again, there's a couple different ways you can do this. As long as it's a geometric reason and as long as you've applied it correctly, I don't care which reason you choose to use. I will try when I go through it to point out some of the different reasons you could have used, but as long as it makes sense for the geometry and you've used the reason properly, you're sorted. In the chat, please remember, answer with reason. I'm going to give you another minute. And guys, remember, you could check yourself. So once you have both X and Y, you know that angles in a triangle must add up to 180. So take your answers for X and Y and add them to that 50 degrees and make sure you're getting your angles in a triangle adding up to 180. So always, where possible, double check yourself. Make sure that you actually agree with your own answer. Whew. Guys, please remember those reasons. Okay, let's have a look. So I think most of you probably started with Y because I don't want to say it's the easiest one, but we can clearly see that Y and 120 are angles on a straight line. I'm fine if you start with Y. Doesn't make a difference. If, however, the question says answer in alphabetical order, you will have to. But in this case, I haven't said that, so we can start wherever we want. So we know that Y plus 120 degrees must be equal to 180 because of angles on a straight line. And so when we subtract 120 on both sides, we get that Y is equal to 60 degrees. And guys, remember I've said this to you before, fill in your angles that you find on your diagram so that you can see how it might help you later on. We then want to get X. Now guys, there's a couple different ways you can get X. Either you can use sum of angles in a triangle, which is absolutely fine, or we can use exterior angle. I'm going to use exterior angle because that's the one we're practicing. So 120 is our exterior angle, which means if we add x and we add 50, we must get 120. Now this goes back to the question of when do we add, when do we subtract? I know the exterior angle here, so I'm going backwards to work out what the two opposite ones are. So I'm going to have to subtract. So x plus 50 degrees must be equal to 120. And this is because of our exterior angle of triangle. Again, you could have used sum of angles in a triangle. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. If I subtract 50 on both sides, I get that x is equal to 70 degrees. And you would have gotten exactly the same answer if you had used sum of angles in a triangle. So guys, what's really important are these types of questions where you're solving for multiple angles at the same time. We need to be able to deal with these types of questions. And so do make sure you're able to do it. So a way to just be careful, it's not possible for it to be 80 because if x is 70 and y is 60, and we now go and add those angles in a triangle, 70 plus 60 is 110 math. Can I not do math today? It's entirely possible. Oh, because I can't do math today. 70 plus 60 is 130 plus 50 gives us 180. So if x was 80 as well, we would have too many degrees inside our triangle. So just double check your working out and have a look at what I did in comparison to what you did and see if you can find the mistake. It probably is just a silly little mistake. But double check by adding up x plus y plus 50 and it must give you 180.